Five.
Right.
Be careful. You swear you have $1 in the swear bear.
I try not to swear too
Well, you're on.
much. Okay, comes from Trixie Lou in Missouri. Hey Steve, what traits do you try to train into a service dog for veterans with PTSD? We do not train dogs specifically for PTSD. However, I can tell you that a lot of these dogs pick up on that very quickly. One being Charlie. Um, Another one that I can tell you that seems to be very good on the PTSD side is Gronk, for one of the younger dogs. Um, and what they do is they kind of pick out what's not normal. For instance, Charlie will start bumping me with his nose when I am not acting normal. Or if I look like I have a balance problem, and I start doing the wobble or the wiggle, he will 9 times out of 10 come over to me and start nudging me and poking me and pushing me. So we don't specifically train him for PTSD because these are mobility dogs, but as most of the veterans that I've run into or that I've helped match up will tell you, they pick up very quickly on that type of injury or illness. Same with traumatic brain injury. When training a dog or a veteran, how do you train it differently? Don't train them any differently other than the fact that when I meet the applicant or the recipient and I find out exactly what their needs are, I take that into mind when I start taking veterans out and working with them to match their needs. Every veteran, just like every other applicant, has different needs, and it's really our job as trainers to make sure that we meet as many needs as they have with the dog. Most of the time, that's just a matter of working with them and getting them to understand. It's not as difficult as most people would think. I think the most difficult part of it is being able to read the applicant and the dog and making sure that they match up correctly. 12 new comments. They're really going to nail me today.
You asked for it. Yeah. Jack.
Here's a good question. Let me read it to you real quick, then I'll move closer so you can hear me. People with service dogs get a lot of unwanted attention. What advice do you have for veterans in dealing with the public, especially if they are dealing with PTSD type issues? That is probably one of the biggest problems I have, and I know a lot of the other veterans that have talked to me have, and it's kind of a double-edged sword. That dog allows, and again, I'm talking veterans, veterans with PTSD that don't want a lot of attention, but they want to have normal quality of life situations, going to the store, going to a restaurant, and they want to be able to fit in. And then you mix in this beautiful Great Dane that's going out with them, and everybody out there wants to say hello, pet your dog, or whatever. I try to have the veterans keep an open mind and try to balance it out with making sure that the dog does its job and where the veteran is comfortable allowing somebody else to mingle with the dog. Charlie, on one hand, I know exactly how Charlie's going to react, and I can read Charlie so I know how he's feeling and reacting to the public when we go out. So I can draw that line where I need to. There are some instances where I'll put Charlie down in a downstay and I'll say, okay, and I'll let somebody come over and pet. It's kind of a case-by-case situation. The majority of the time, I just want to go out, eat a meal somewhere. I want to go in, I want to have time with my family or whatever, then I leave. That's the way I want it. So I kind of keep it that way. it's a fine line, and everybody kind of has to set their own line on that, how they want it to work. When you first start out, I tell them to stick right with the guidelines that we give them. No contact, the whole 9 yards. Once they get more comfortable, the dog gets more comfortable, then you can adjust that line as it goes. And I know there's going to be a lot of people out there that disagree with that, but until you've had one of these beautiful Great Danes out there in public and run up against that problem hundreds of times in a week, you will find that you will change that line a little bit, one way or the other. Do I think the temperament of a dog is important to which veteran they are matched up with? That's true with anybody. It doesn't matter if it's a veteran or not. The temperament for the dog has to be in place prior to any matching or any working with it or anything else. If the dog's temperament isn't there, it's not there. I mean, there's not much we can do about that. If we get to a certain point and we realize that this is not going to work, we can't afford to be sending these dogs with a maybe. It has to be a yes or no. Have I ever been denied service while accompanied by a service dog? Only once in my entire time with Charlie, which has been years now, have I had even been challenged. It's only been one time. And that was a fast food restaurant, and the manager was fairly quick in straightening out the employee that was not the way to handle that. So it got resolved very quickly. What I tell everybody that I work with is, if your dog is doing his job and your dog behaves, there's no reason for that establishment or them to challenge you. Most of the time when I go to a restaurant or something like that, most people don't even notice the dog's there till I get up and leave. That's the way the dog should be. So if your dog is not acting properly or not behaving in a store or restaurant or out in public, you're going to draw the attention to yourself. That's a problem with you and the dog. That has to be fixed. But I don't get challenged. Besides the fact I have one of the best dogs ever, I don't see many people that I talk to that are getting challenged because their dog is behaving. It's the challenging is coming when they don't behave. Keeping track of time for me there, Carlene, so I can just keep reading for a minute.
4:55.
Okay.
How often do you participate in training? Are you involved with all the dogs in training? You help the veteran getting acquainted with the dog.
I'm involved with as much as one person can be involved with the training that goes on. Megan and I meet every morning, at least once, twice, 3, 4 times a week. Carlene and Megan and I get together and have a game plan. Megan and I will switch dogs to get different opinions. I would say that Megan and I touch every dog throughout the day, one or the other one of us, because remember, we have quite a few dogs right now. But we do switch to get different opinions on things, especially if we start to see something that kind of sends a flag up. For instance, if I see something that sending a flag up, I'll have Megan take that dog right out and put it in the same situation, and then we compare notes. If we come up with the answer, that's fine. If we don't, then we go see Carlene and we say, this is what we got, what's your opinion? And then we kind of solve the problem that way. But we try to hit every dog every day as much as we can, as long as the world lets us do it. There's always something going on around here.
You want to do that aggression one? What are your tips or advice dealing with dogs that have dog aggression?
The aggression question just keeps coming up with every trainer. I don't know if nobody believes what we're saying or if they just want different answers. Aggression is very simple in my eyes. I don't accept aggression. And when somebody says to me aggression, I'm assuming that we have a dog that is growling at either another dog or growling at an individual. Aggression is not acceptable, and it's one of those things that you snap, crackle, pop immediately, and you stay on top of it. And that dog sends a flag up with aggression. In my situation, I tell Megan, I tell Shannon, I tell everybody that works with these dogs that if they see that, that needs to be dealt with quickly. And get everybody on the same sheet of music, and then everybody tell everybody what they keep seeing, because that has to stop. I will say that I'm going to say 99% of the dogs that I've had a flag for a little bit of aggression, that doesn't continue. They learn very quickly it's unacceptable behavior, and it gets dealt with.
I think it's one of those allies are people with common enemies. You know, if you dominate the dog, even if it's two dogs going to argue with each other, if you dominate the situation, they're less inclined to be annoyed with each other. They'll just turn around and look at you and say, "Oh my." Gotta have some other plan.
I use a term a lot with Megan so she understands what I'm saying. It's called setting them up for failure. If I have two puppies specifically that seem to do a little growling over like a food aggression thing, I purposely put those two dogs together so that they learn that that's not going to work.
Yeah.
To me, it makes no sense to separate them and take the problem away. I want the problem to happen so I can solve it.
That is true with almost everything. People have a dog that, say, barks at the front door. "Oh, let me go put him in a room and answer the door." No. Put your dog in a downstay, sit-stay, something, get a hold of him and say, "No, we're going to answer the door and you're going to be quiet."
I want the problems to happen when I'm there,
Yeah.
not when it happens 2 months down the road with a napkin or something else like that. Those are the calls that get me. We have time for just a couple more. I'll hit this one real quick because I get asked this 1,000 times a month. Is there, when encountering a veteran of any age, is it proper and polite to say thank you for your service and sacrifice? Yes, it is. It is proper. It's proper adequate. And their answer is probably going to be thank you for your support. It becomes a point as a veteran gets older and is out longer and they've adapted more to civilian life, that doesn't bother them at all. It's the younger kids that are coming out right away that really shy away from that, and it may seem like they're shying away from that, but they're really just trying to get back into a normal lifestyle back in the great USA, and it's a little harder for them to accept people appreciating them. But don't ever feel like you can't say that to them, because it means something to them.
Okay, you done?
Yep.
I'll take over the active. How many active service dogs does Carlene have? They're matched up with people? Last time we counted, it was like 106, so it's got to be more than that by now. But somewhere 106, 110, something like that. I don't know that they're all with service dogs, but with veterans, but there was somebody. That was the question. Okay. What's the best way to get... How did I get into this? I haven't opened the mail yet. That's right, I'm supposed to open the mail. You go.
Put it off.
You're out of here. I have to open the mail first, and then I'll answer questions.